So my point being is, well, they went the electric again. Welcome to Smokey CNC Woodworks. I'm Brian, and today, well, I'm not actually going to do what I wanted to do today. I was actually going to come out here and we were going to make something. I was going to cut something for you, but something's up with the electricity in the area, and it's gone in and out 3 or 4 times so far this morning. And if you've ever ran a machine like this, it's just not real conducive to getting stuff done. Biggest problem there is whenever I'm running the software or running the machine, when the electricity quits, obviously the machine just quits. And the problem I run into then is I don't sit and watch what line of code it's on, and usually it's going so fast anyway I wouldn't be able to tell you where it was at. And you're talking about sometimes looking at 30, 40, 50,000 lines of code. Well, I'm not going to sit there and watch that. And right now, that's the only way I know I could do it, is I could sit and watch what line I'm at when it quits, and hopefully I was paying close enough attention so I could restart at that point. There may be another way to keep track of that, and for the software to do it, I don't know about it. So when electricity in the area is kind of like this, I just don't mess with it. I mean, because all it's going to do is I'm just going to end up tearing up a bunch of material. So I figured I'd address a few things that I get asked about a lot. And the most questions I get are about, obviously, the build of the machine. And the biggest issue most people are having is cost. And, you know, on there, I've openly said that I spent about $3,200 building the machine. And that is correct. That's what I initially spent. I have since spent more money on it, obviously. Biggest being software. And that is probably going to be your largest cost in one hit. When I bought Vktech Camera, which is the programming software, it was $700. And let's just say I might have been messing around at one of our local casinos and hit some money that was able to pay for Aspire. That's why I actually upgraded, is because I want enough money to buy the $2,000 software for it. So yeah, that's a big hit. $2,000, that's a chunk for software. Now then, what you get out of that, or what I've got out of that, is the ability to do 3D. Now, I don't utilize it much. I've done the American flag, I've done the eagle, I've done a couple other little things, but I just hadn't messed with it yet. And I really need to get to it and start doing more 3D stuff. Biggest reason I don't, the American flag, if y'all recall back, I did it, a waving American flag. That took almost 5 hours. And that's not straight cut time, but after all the painting and sanding and getting everything done, it was over 5 hours. Whew, you know, and I've still got that thing. I probably couldn't sell it for what I'd have to sell it for, just because of the time I've got into it. So that's why I haven't delved off into that too much, but that's just something you're going to have to weigh for yourself. I mean, cost-wise, what exactly are you going to be doing with it? And I mean, my recommendation is always to do it like I did it. I started with VCarve. I guarantee you it's probably going to do more than you're ever going to make it do. I've used the crap out of it, and whenever I finally got to get Aspire, I actually don't use all the extra stuff Aspire offers. Now, that's not to say I won't use all the extra tools and stuff that's offered. It's just lately we've been just all over the place. We've sold a business, and you know, I mean, I've just recently retired. We've got other things going on. We're trying to trade shows, so at some point things will slow down. I'll have time to really research it, study it, and hopefully I'll really do some cool stuff with Aspire. So now the second largest cost, obviously, is going to be your parts. And where I run into the most questions is about, you know, the ball screws and the linear rails. And Honestly, I've talked to people that said, oh, I'm only going to be able to afford to build about a little 2x2 one. And you're not saving that much money. I mean, seriously, to go from a 2-foot linear rail to a 4-foot linear rail, I mean, all the way around the machine and the ball screws, at most you're talking a couple $100. And if you could take it from a 2-foot machine to a 4-foot machine, well worth it. Well worth it. And on that note, if you wanted to upgrade and go 4-foot by 8-foot, it's really not that much more. Mine was room. I've got a little room set aside to do this, and it wasn't as much about the cost as I just didn't know how I was going to fit it in here. I could have fit it. I couldn't have walked around it, but I could have fit it. So that's the other largest cost to this is your parts. And so, I mean, you can mix and match. I use 34 Nema stepper motors all the way around my machine. Those are a couple $100 more expensive than the Nema 23s. And Nema 23s may have done the job. Again, that goes back to my overkill. I overkill everything. I don't ever have to worry about the power. I don't ever have to worry about burning, for the most part, I don't have to worry about burning up motors for lack of power. So, again, it's just one of those things you're going to have to weigh. Okay, so your third biggest thing to consider is cost of materials. I know right now oak in this area is $3.40 a board foot. Eastern cedar is right about the same. So whenever I'm making that stuff, those are usually the ones that you see me do something out of pine. I go back later and do it in oak. And reason I've done that, and a lot of times when I do stuff with oak on here, I might have already cut whatever I'm cutting. Not always, but sometimes I have. Simply because I don't want to waste the wood. It gets expensive whenever you screw up 2 or 3 times in oak, and now whatever you're making's just recovering the money that you lost. So that's definitely something you got to consider. The availability of materials, what kind of materials you're wanting to cut in. And another cost to you is going to be router bits, because oak is such a hard wood. I do go through the router bits. Now granted, the thing I use the most is a 90-degree V-bit, and it's just a little 1/2-inch 90-degree V-bit. This is not a super expensive V-bit. I have a buddy that has a hardware store, and so as you can see right here, I'm using Vermont American V-bit or 90-degree V-bits, but look at the price on it. That's why I use them, because I'll buy these things 10 at a time, and he gives me a big cut rate on them, so I don't have to pay much for them. So I can blaze through these things. And now, as you've seen in the past, I do sharpen them. These don't take much of a sharpen. About one time and they're done. I mean, after you've used them, sharpen them once, they're trash. Now, if you went to like a Nema, a bit that was an expensive brand, those will last you. I mean, I've got a couple of Freud, however you want to say it, Freud. I've got 2 of them that I've had since the beginning, and I can still sharpen them, and they will still work real well. I'm just lazy. I don't want to sit around sharpening bits all day. And so the other bits I use a lot are my end mills, my little 1/8-inch end mills. So there's the brand I'm using. It's HQmaster. And as you can see on the back, there's 1 or 2 missing, but they come in packs of 10. I think these cost me like 11 bucks. And when I bought them, I bought a whole set of them, and so I've got double-edged straight slots for making bigger profile grooves. I've got my ball nose, my little 1/8-inch ball nose, that's for doing 3D stuff. And we've got a 4-flute cutter. I've actually never used these 4-flute cutters. They are supposed to cut a lot cleaner. I just hadn't made it to them yet. And like I said, I think each little package was like 11 bucks, and I bought like 6 or 7 of them at once. And this was from the beginning. Whenever you guys saw me start this channel, I had just got all this stuff in, and they've lasted a long time. Okay, and now, so the next thing I'm going to want you to consider before you dive into this is your tech skills. I mean, my upside to being able to tie into this, build this thing, and do all the computer side of it, I was a computer science major in college. That's what I went to school for 4 years. And I mean, although it would be in 20 plus years ago since I've done that, I've still always messed with computers. I hadn't really programmed, but I've always messed with them and kind of stayed in the loop of what's going on with them. So whenever I tied into the building the electronics box and tying it into the computer and setting up all the software and programming it, I have done very little studying on how to run the software. I've watched a couple of videos and took off. And basically most of what I've learned is just through playing with it. And I'm not going to say that's the best way, and I'm not going to say it's the wrong way by any means, because I've made my mistakes, I've screwed up a lot of stuff, but I learn from it every time. So that's just something else you're going to have to weigh. I mean, the learning curve on the software is going to be pretty big if you're not great with it. So you might look at it before you spend the money. All right, then the next request I get. I've got a lot of people asking me to build another machine and video the whole thing. Unfortunately, I'm not ready to devote that much time to building another machine, and I really don't have the room to do it. And to be honest, if I get to do a bigger machine, I'm probably going to buy one, and just simply because of the time. And it's not that I didn't enjoy doing it. I learned a ton from it. But if I was to go up to and if I was going up, I would not go to a 4x8, I'd go to a 5x10. And that's just for some personal reasons, just some bigger stuff that I'd like to do. But honestly, I mean, if I go to a 5x10, we're talking $50,000, $75,000. I mean, at a minimum. And that's if I was to buy a new machine. Now, obviously, I would shop and probably buy me a used one somewhere. But just the whole thought of having to sit down and build another one from the ground up. Again, it was a great experience when I was doing it, but it's not something I want to dive back into and do all over. So with that being said, I mean that if I was going to do another machine, I would buy it. You know, I'm all for you building one. I'm all about it because I think you learn more about the system if you have a breakdown. Guess who knows how to fix it? You built it, so you know how it went together. That was my logic behind it. But time, I know, is a huge issue with most people. I mean, you have work, you've got other things going on. Who has time to sit down and do it? Check out all the packages. I mean, there are some 4-foot machines out there that are really reasonable. Now, they're not going to be as heavy built as this one, but again, I'm no expert. Who says it has to be? It will run a little bit slower, but it'll still do just a good job. And may save you a lot of the headaches that I've ran into over time. But and like I said, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from building it. It's just, I want you to weigh all of the possibilities that are out there to cause you as to cause you a small amount of grief as possible, because by wiring it up and doing it all yourself, a lot of times you're hanging out there, and I get asked questions all the time. Sometimes I just flat don't have the answer, because sometimes these people are talking above my head. I'm not the expert on the system, but I mean, I do have places to send people. I mean, CNC Zone, if y'all just want to get on there and read and look and see what these people are talking about, man, these people on there, they are obviously professionals at this and are very knowledgeable. So my point being is, well, they run the electric again. And look there, we got electricity again. I don't know what's up. So, in the end, I mean, I'm all for everybody doing this, and I'll gladly answer your questions because I answer them every day. I get emails all the time about it. I just want you to weigh all the stuff ahead of time and know that you're going to be invested a lot of time, some money. I mean, $3,000, $3,200, that's a lot of money to me, but it's not an astronomical amount compared to what you would go buy a large machine for, because you're talking anywhere, a 4x4, a big solid one's yeah, you can spend anywhere from $25,000 to $60,000 on them. I mean, depending on the brand and the setup and the type. So that was my deciding factor. I just basically want you guys to weigh all your options first. I don't want you to get into something and get halfway through it and decide, oh, heck with it, I'm not doing it. Well, then you're just throwing your money away. So I want you to definitely be happy with your machine. So guys, that's going to be about it for today. I just thought I'd give you all a shout and talk about a few things I get asked about a lot. And if it wasn't for a great electric situation here right now, I would be cutting something. But it's just not the cards for today. So guys, if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.